Anyway, I hear what, some probate process and then some estate planning? Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone recently lose a loved one?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sorry for your loss. Who did you lose? What relation?
Mother.
Sorry. Anyway, we're here to help you with the probate process. I'll run through what the probate court does. We'll talk about estate planning. I'll talk to you about some resources, and then we can get into the estate administration. I've got some slides that generally cover that. And just so everybody knows, we've got staff listing that I'll show you shortly where you can get in touch with the person directly and they can help you from beginning to end. Anyway, welcome, and then just stop me at any time if you have questions. We also have a chat box if you want to put something in there if you don't want to unmute. But again, welcome. My name is Irv Condon, Probate Judge for Charleston County, and I have Jamie Robinson, who is our community outreach coordinator, who set this up. I appreciate the help, Jamie. Anyway, our objectives for today really is just, like I said, talk about probate court, talk about estate planning for every family, touch on a little bit about elder law, and then alcohol and drugs, mental illness affects all of our family. And so we'll talk about that. That's an important work of probate court. And then guardianship and conservatorship. Guardianship, probate court is jurisdiction for adults. And then we have jurisdiction for minors and adult conservatorships. But when we get to estate planning, we want to avoid the guardianship by the use of a healthcare power of attorney, and we'll avoid the conservatorship by the use of a business power of attorney or a trust. And then I'll give you some points to ponder and trivia, and hopefully make you smile a little bit today. I know it's difficult if you lost a loved one to go through this process. I've done my dad's, my mom's, and my brother's estates, and I know emotionally it can be hard, but we're here to help you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyway, here's sort of our topics, another way of putting it, and then I'll talk a little bit about problem-solving courts and estate administration. And here's our organizational chart, which can be helpful to you. If you look over on the left, we'll start with the estate division. You'll see that we've got 5 estate clerks, and they all have ending numbers on the case file. That's what they're assigned to. So Amy has all cases ending in 0 and 5, Sharon 1 and 6. So once you start with an estate clerk, that clerk will help you from beginning to end. We find that works the best. In our estate division, we do about 2,200 estates a year, and we have at any one time 3,500 open. So 5 estate clerks, they're very busy. They each have 600 or 700 open files, but with technology, we've been able to serve our citizens. Our clerk of court there is Allison Atwood at the top. Over on our commitment and guardianship conservatorship division, our commitments, as I mentioned earlier, those involuntary commitments, and we do about 2,000 of those each year, and we go to the various hospitals. And again, I'll touch on that. Alcohol and drugs and mental illness affects all of our families, and so we're just trying to get people the help that they need. Guardianship and conservatorship, I mentioned that. We got about 1,000 of those open cases, and we can avoid that by the use of planning by power of attorney or trust. Problem-solving courts are there. And then we also have a fun side if anybody's getting married. We have a marriage license division, and we do about 7,000 marriage licenses a year. And I got a program I'll show you later called Love. Here's our staff's contact information, and we'll send all of this to you. Anyway, the important thing is that you can go directly to the individual that you need help with. You'll see their direct dial number there. And you'll see mine up there. If I can ever help you, my direct dial at work is at 958-5193. So 817-2039. Okay. So instead of having to go through a switchboard, you can call or you can get them directly through their email. We're located down at the Four Corners of Law. If we were in person, I'd give away a candy bar or something. If somebody could tell me who named it the Four Corners of Law. We got the mayor's office on the bottom left. We got state court, our state division on the bottom right, and the federal courthouse, and then the highest law, the church there. Anyway, Ripley's, believe it or not, gave it that name. If you've been downtown, our historic courthouse is going under renovations for the outside of the building. We're located now, the estate division on the bottom right, you see the roof there of the Blake tenement building. And our commitment division is located on the bottom right, that brick building on the 4th floor there. This was Mrs. Ripley that I met. Then and now, it used to be the state capitol before it moved to Columbia, the historic courthouse at the corner of Broad and Meeting Street. It was done by an Irish architect by the name of James Hoban. He did our courthouse. He modeled it after the Leinster House in Dublin, Ireland. President Washington visited our city. Hoban later bid on doing the White House and was selected. So that's why to the right there, we got a bust of Washington with the White House in the background. On the left there, we're over in Ireland dedicating that monument to James Hoban. And that's my son there on the left, bottom left. Our luggage didn't make it. He had to buy some new pants, and he's not quite sure what to do with the Irish girl there. Anyway, we honor James Hoban. And so when you see the White House on TV, remember it was a Charleston architect that has done that. All right, what's the highest basketball court in the land? It's right around the land. I know there are WNBAs going on and college basketball getting ready to start. Anyway, if you get up to the highest court in the land, the U.S. Supreme Court, above the chamber, there's actually a basketball gym, and I made 2 for 2. You can't shoot hoops when the court is in session. Anyway, trivia for you here today. Hopefully, get you smiling. This was my mentor, and Jamie, mentor too, Morris Rosen. He passed about 10 years ago. He's quite a Southern gentleman, very hardworking, very respectful to the judge, to the janitor, to anyone he came in contact with. And that's what we try to model our court after in public service and being kind. He started off working in that building at 45 Broad, the Hat Man building. He later worked so hard that he was able to buy the building. This is my mom. She passed about 3 years ago. Anyway, very important that you have somebody advocate for you. Here she is at her grandson's wedding. And I've always wanted to show this to the hospitalist. A year before this picture, the hospitalist, my mom was in the hospital and suffering from chronic back pain and couldn't get comfortable and had other issues. And they basically told us it was time to let her go. And we said no, so we got an expert, somebody from the outside came in, gave her an epidural, and she lived another year. So very important that we all have somebody advocate for us and for our parents and grandparents. Estate planning, let's talk a little bit about that. We don't want your will to look like this. This is one that was actually accepted in the court, and we've whited out the names. But anyway, a will to be effective has to be signed by the testator, and then also have 2 witnesses, which just did. This is sort of my list going to Costco, I think, on the right, and will on the left. So you never know when God's going to call you, but we want to get to an attorney, and I'll show you how to select an attorney in a little while, but very important that we all have our estate planning done. And here's a list of documents to consider. Some of these overlap and some may cover others. But we always want to start with a checklist, and we list out our property. We want to learn a few concepts today. And the first would be the concept of probate property and non-probate property. Probate property is controlled by the will. If there's not a will, then it's controlled by the intestacy statute, which basically it goes according to your family tree. Non-probate property, which can be life insurance, it could be joint account with right of survivorship, a deed joint with right of survivorship, designations on our retirement accounts. Anyway, so we have a big difference between probate and non-probate property, and only probate property goes through the probate process. You can utilize both probate and non-probate transfers. The main thing is to list everything out, work with your attorney, and just have a roadmap of who's going to get what, when, if you pass. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's the way that you think is best. Anyway, we also want to look at our source documents. Many times we think we own property a certain way, and lo and behold, it's owned a different way. So look at your source documents. Second, and actually number 6, 2, and 6, we always want to have a trust, either a trust and a will. And that's what probably most South Carolinians are fine with. A will with a trust, and a trust a vehicle or a way to protect people who can't handle money. Normally we think of minors. Instead of giving, if it goes to a conservatorship, the minor gets the property at age 18. By the use of a trust, we could say they get 1/3 at 25, 1/3 at 30, 1/3 at 35, so that they learn along the way. Most restrictive I saw was a child couldn't get the money until age 65, and I thought that was a little restrictive, but I think the parents were waiting for Social Security to kick in, make sure that they had some safety net there for them. Anyway, if you put all your assets in a revocable trust, number 6 there, the attorney will also have you do a pour over will. This is the event you later acquire additional assets, and that way they can pour over to your trust. Again, that revocable living trust acts as a will substitute. There are pros and cons, both ways of doing it. I would sit down with your attorney. It's personal preference. You know, if you own property in a number of different counties, number of different states, then arguably revocable living trust and avoiding probate is the way to go. But for most South Carolinians, a will with a trust inside will suffice. It just depends on your family situation. Number 3, there's that financial business durable power of attorney. It means it's durable. If I become incapacitated, then my wife can still act for me. And there's one for business and there's one for healthcare. The one for healthcare that Jamie sent you is actually what we call a statutory document. It's right out of our code of laws. So it's the same for everybody in South Carolina. That allows our healthcare workers, our EMS, our doctors, our nurses to see the same document each time. The financial business one, again, that's very specific to your needs. I would caution you on the financial business durable power of attorney, it's not regulated. And so we always worry about the misuse that is out there. And a financial business durable power of attorney is the one document that has to be recorded, and it's recorded at the Register of Deeds office. It has to be recorded to be effective. When we get to end of life, the healthcare power of attorneys, you know, for making any decisions, I've had probably about 15 kidney stones. And when I'm out for those kidney stones, my wife can make those healthcare decisions for me. When we get to end of life, that's at number 5 there, a declaration of desire for natural death. It's also known as a living will. It gets confused with the living trust. The living will is of the person and healthcare decision making. The living trust deals with property. Anyway, young lady, Nancy Cruzan, was involved in an automobile accident. This was in the Midwest. The hospitals are in the business of keeping us all alive. The family sort of wanted to withdraw the life support. The hospital thought they needed to keep her alive. It went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. She had indicated verbally she wanted the life support withdrawn. The court came back and said, yeah, you can withdraw the life support, but it needs to be in writing. And we've seen other cases, Nancy Cruzan, Terry Schiavo. It's amazing how medicine can keep us alive, but we all got to understand and decide what the quality of life we want. The beauty of the declaration, or even like the 5 wishes, it allows our family to know what our intent was. So they have they know exactly what we wanted, and they don't feel guilty if they have to withdraw the life support. Again, number 7, there's the 5 wishes. It's by an organization out of Florida called the Aging with Dignity. If you Google 5 wishes, you can download the document. In some cases, it overlaps or replaces the healthcare power of attorney and a living will. Again, the 5 wishes is the national document. It is accepted in South Carolina. I think you can download it for $5. It's a nonprofit there. Because there are 2 certainties in life. and that's death and taxes. And we all talk about taxes and how we all hate taxes, but nobody ever talks about death and dying and planning for that. And that's the goal of that Five Wishes, the Aging with Dignity organization. DNR, number 8, there's a do not resuscitate order. I lost a brother to cancer. He had a DNR. He knew the cancer was going to take him in a matter of days. So if he had a heart attack, he won't have that DNR in place. It ends the suffering for him and for the family. It's all tough decisions, but we work with doctors before making those decisions. Number 9, similar to the DNRs, it's physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. Some states will call it a medical order for life-sustaining treatment. It's been piloted over at Roper St. Francis, the cancer unit there. Anyway, again, it's decision-making that we can let our loved ones know exactly how we want to be treated at end-of-life issues. Organ donation, I'll show you a slide or two on that. And then safe cremation, more and more people are choosing cremation. And for cremation, we have the Safe Cremation Law, also known as the James Jordan Act. Michael Jordan, his father, James Jordan, there to the right, was killed in North Carolina. His body was dumped in a rural county in South Carolina. They didn't have the space to keep him. His body was decomposing. I think they kept his hands and his jaw. And then 2 weeks later realized that it was after a national search was after looking for James Jordan, they realized it was Michael Jordan's dad, that they had most of his body they had cremated. So our state legislature and other state legislatures stepped in and passed the safe cremation law, which means you have to have authorization, and you can do that through a pre-need authorization with your funeral home, or you can put it in your 5 wishes document, or you can put it in your other estate planning documents. If not, if there's no pre-authorization, then the probate court is going to require due diligence to locate family before cremation takes place. Ran across this guy. Being cremated is my last hope for a smoking hot body. He's visiting from Maine. And I'll show you this one. I'm sorry, just British humor trying to make you smile on this Monday morning. And I was working late one night and crossing, if you've been down to the Dock Street Theater, our law office used to be right there at the corner of Church and Chalmers. I was leaving late one night in a car. I was crossing the street, looked one way to the right because I know it's a one-way street. Car was coming the wrong way down that one-way street and almost hit me. And I waved to the man in the back, and it was this guy. It's now King Charles, but I think he visited the city about 30 some years ago, and I made eye contact with him and waved to him. If you want to help others and don't want to bear the administrative cost, we have the Coastal Community Foundation. They're now celebrating 50 years. And Jamie, we need to maybe mark that on our slide that we're recognizing them for 50 years. And that take away the administrative cost of having to, use a CPA and attorney to set up your own foundation, to set up your own charitable giving program. Universities, your churches have similar organizations. Coastal Community Foundation serves all of South Carolina for the most part. The Center for Heirs Property was one of the first grants that the Coastal Community Foundation gave, and the Center for Heirs Property helps heirs retain their land. Again, they are almost expanding to the entire Southeast. They're located up in North Charleston on Rivers Avenue in the Opportunity building up there. It's close to Berkeley. Anyway, the late Reverend Clemente Pinckney was instrumental in getting that right of first refusal. So before an heir can sell to a developer, the other heirs generally have a right to purchase. They also do wills clinics, and here's what Jamie has listed for the next one that are coming up. And I think they charge $50 for a will. Also, another way to select an attorney is the use of Martindale Hubble. If you go to martindale.com, it lists all the attorneys around the country. It lists their academic credentials, their areas of practice, their location. There also will be a peer rating on there. So A being the highest. And so this is a good way. It's sort of like choosing a doctor or a dentist. Talk to your family and friends. Talk to them. Then you can also look at martindale.com to see who you might choose as an attorney. Any questions so far? Anything?
No, sir.
Here's another way to choose attorneys. One of the South Carolina Bar has a lawyer referral service. If you cannot afford an attorney, there's Charleston Pro Bono Legal Services, and you'll see their qualifications there. If you go to their website, you can see how to apply. Similarly, the South Carolina Legal Services, they can help, and you see their guidelines to qualify for an attorney from South Carolina Legal Services. We also have Charleston Legal Access. If you didn't qualify one of the other two, but cannot afford the full rate, they also assist those that cannot afford an attorney full-time. Point out a few things here. The American Bar Association has a mediation program, and we always encourage mediation, particularly in our states in conservatorships and guardianships when there is a dispute. Organ donation, I mentioned that earlier. You can see the number of people waiting for a transplant. The late Dr. Lawrence McManus, instrumental in starting this donatelife.org, and they have a series of forms there. We can also do it my computer's about to act up. I hope I don't lose y'all. I'm getting a spin. Do y'all see that? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
If I lose everyone, we'll reconvene right after I get it back up. But got it plugged in, so it can't be. It's not a battery issue.
It stopped though.
There you go. Might have been my contact, might have been loose on my charger here. There we go. I have not been to Italy, but this California family tragically lost their son. Italy did not have a organ donation plan. Way to do that. They ended up donating his body to help others. And then it's now called the Nicholas effect because it's changed the culture there in Italy. Elder law, let me touch on a few things here. And the help that you can get in this regard, and that's the Palmetto Project. It is a nonprofit located on Rivers Avenue, and you'll see that you can call their number to make an appointment. They also will come to where you are and help you there. And so I'd strongly recommend this free service. It'll give you some good advice. Similarly, there's a Trident Area Agency on Aging. Every area in the United States has one. It's funded by the Older Americans Act, and they provide assistance. If you're caring for a senior or anyone, this family caregiver support program can be very helpful, give you a break and someone. And we also have a department on aging. It's now being rolled in under DHEC, but they also have a number of services that they can help you with. Locally, we have family services doing business as Origin SC. If you do not have someone that can serve as a trustee or a fiduciary, they can step in and help you, help your family. They're partially funded by the United Way. And for our veterans, we got this VA caregiver support line. We thank you for your service. This one here I just recently learned of. Care Yaya. Yaya means Greek, means grandmother and grandparent in Greek. And they're utilizing College of Charleston students So if you ever needed a break, you can sign up a law student, not a law student, but a College of Charleston student who has been vetted by Carrie Yaya. And always recommend everyone take a ski vacation. And a ski vacation, any skiers here? My thing is spend the kids' inheritance. We never know when God's going to call us. So enjoy life. And we always battle between paying bills and saving and enjoying the things we like to do. It may not be taking a trip. It may be simply helping a family member with a car, with college, buying their first home, with a wedding, all those things. Additionally, if that's not what you want to do, we can set up a pet trust, and everyone loves their dog and cat and other pets. We had 2 dogs in Charleston County that got $900,000 in trust, could not be kept outside on a chain. And another dog on Kiowa received a home. So I always joke when I'm speaking to the younger generations, the law students, to make sure they call their parents and grandparents. About 3 years ago, South Carolina started recognizing pet trust. And normally what you'll see in the pet trust is it's left to the pet, and then after the pet dies, it goes to the SPCA. Let's talk, I know some of you are on here for wills, probate, and estate administration. In South Carolina, generally we have 3 ways to probate an estate. The first is what we call a summary proceeding. The estate is under $25,000. It's only as personal property, does not have real estate or a home. So you can open and close the estate 30 days after a person's passed. You'd fill out an application. You provide a death certificate. You'd also provide a proof that the creditor we know of, the funeral home has been paid. So that's a summary proceeding. Most of our states go under number 2 there, which is normal administration. And that's where we give notice to what we call interested persons. And it's a process that takes 8, 9, 10 months. We give notice to interested persons by use of an information to heirs and devotees. Heirs are those that would take if there's not a will. Devotees are those that are named in the will. And then we give notice to potential creditors by publishing in the newspaper once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. Again, normal administration starts similar with the summary proceeding with a death certificate, an application. You choose your newspaper. You then file an inventory and appraisement. The timeline generally is after a person is passed, you have 30 days to deliver the will to the court. Once you're appointed, you have 30 days to send that information to heirs and devotees out. And then within 90 days, you have to file your inventory and appraisement. On the inventory and appraisement, you generally just show the probate assets. After those are filed, you wait till the creditor's period expires, which is 8 months from that first publication in the newspaper. And then you would file what's called closing documents. If there's real estate, there would be a deed of distribution. There'd be an accounting. If you haven't distributed assets, you would include a proposal for distribution. And then you also would include a notice of right to demand a hearing. And then we wait the 30 days, nobody demands a hearing. It's all closed informally. So most of our estates are done that way. It's done informally. The third way, if we do have a contested case, that's where we have notice and hearing all along the way. We have fewer of those cases, but those are the ones that take up most of the judge or court's time. Again, we're doing about 2,200 estates a year. At any one time, we have about 3,500 open. If you ever get behind on filing documents, you can always file a motion for an extension. If you probate the estate and later discover additional assets, you can do a subsequent administration and reopen the estate and distribute those assets. That's a quick overview. Let's talk about a laughing heir. Who wants to be a laughing heir? That's the one who I looked 30 years for a laughing air. I finally found Richard over in Mount Pleasant. He had a family member die in the Midwest, left a very sizable estate. It was a family member he did not know. And so that's why it's called a laughing area. He laughed to the bank. He got a large check there. And then they ended up calling the attorney, he wanted to know when the next check was coming. Okay. Then and now, used to have to come down to the court. We now have a program called Easy Filing, and you can file electronically from your home. So we're open 24/7. You can file at the library, you can file from home. Jamie's been working hard on this. We're accessible 24/7, anywhere in the world except North Korea, and she's working on that too. And working with Dennis Rodman to try to get us there. Now, trying to make you laugh. Easy filing. There's a $7 fee, but by the time you pay that, or if you drove downtown, paid for parking, or if you mail, it's a one-time fee, and you can file as many documents as you need. That's payable to our Atlanta-based company there, and then you can file as many documents, as I said, as you can. If you don't have the technology at home, you can go to one of our many libraries. They're located throughout the county. Cynthia Graham Heard, one of our, who we lost in the Emmanuel 9. That's in West Ashley, the downtown library, Edisto, that's a space almost to Edisto Island. And we have libraries from McClellanville to Edisto, North Charleston, West Ashley, Mount Pleasant. And I recommend that if you have not visited one of our libraries recently, that you take a visit there, even if you're not doing a probate. They've all been redone beautifully, and they're very much high tech and have wonderful resources there. And if you ever need a meeting room, they have wonderful meeting rooms at each of the libraries now. We do seminars, in-person seminars at the libraries also. So look for those coming if you prefer in-person. And here I am visiting Otranto and North Charleston, showing that I can even, with the help of librarians, handle probate from there. Any questions on easy filing or anything so far? What are we seeing at the court? We lost the Charleston 9. I grew up with Billy and Randy Hutchinson in West Ashley. We found that most of our firefighters are first responders. I believe it was bad luck to get a will. So they're the ones running into the burning building. We're running out. So it's very important that we have all of our first responders have a will. So we've been working in that regards. Manual 9, they showed us that love conquers hate. We had violence. Again, on the top right is Cynthia Graham Heard. In the middle there is the late Reverend Clemente Pinckney. He was instrumental in getting that right of first refusal for our heirs. All of them have very powerful stories. I'm sorry for that. NFL started back up. We have Clay Matthews, top right, was the boxing coach over at the Citadel, and a lot of family members playing in the NFL had to get their trust reformed. So my son's always trying to collect autographs. I told him I got their autographs and I needed mine to reform their trust. This Charlestonian won the Masters in 30s. The point here is it's very important to tell your attorney everything about your family situation. He lost a son tragically to a car accident and did not tell his attorney about that. And so later the family had to come in and reform his trust, his will, so that the children of the predeceased son received a share also. So tell your attorney everything in your family situation. This individual, Shoeless Joe Jackson, we have Shoeless Joe's Hill over at Riley Park in Charleston. If you've been up to Greenville, that's where he's honored, also downtown. He's illiterate, did not sign many documents. He did sign his will and residuary beneficiary actions. So the probate judge to get the original back. It went all the way up to our state Supreme Court. They said, no, it stays with the court. So if you're famous, your will stay with the court. For a baseball collector, his will was worth about $75,000 because it had that signature on there. The accountants that started Spoleto, very benefiting Charleston. She used a local attorney. She may have used Martindale Hubble to find that local attorney. James Brown over in Aiken named his trust the I Feel Good Trust. Marriage license, I'll touch on these. Again, we do about 7,000 of those a year. We have a program called Love, which is live, online, virtual e-marriage application, so you can apply anywhere. And Jamie threw this one, and so it begins. I didn't like the tone of your I do. Anyway, we do about 2,000 out-of-county licenses, helping our raise revenue for the county, and about 5,000 are coming from Charleston County. Who's coming through? You may have seen him on CNN. A lot of people are coming to Charleston to get married, and we're here to help them. And we've got others. This is a local couple that got married. They allowed me to use their picture because I wanted to show how we, at the county, we got marriage license division. On the right, we got commitment division. So aptly named. Let's talk a little bit about civil commitments. Again, mental illness, alcohol and drug affects all of our families, and we want to get people the help they need. Hopefully they'll go voluntarily. We always ask them to go voluntarily. They can go to the Charleston Center or the Charleston Dorchester Mental Health Center. If they won't get help, that's where the court comes in, and we have an involuntary process called civil commitment. And we do that with the various hospitals. We'll hold hearings to get people the help they need. Again, we're blessed with MUSC, Palmetto, and Charleston Dorchester. And we also have the Charleston Center, which is for alcohol and drug. You may see the term DAODIS, which is state agency. The local state agency for DAODIS is called the Charleston Center. For our veterans, we have the Ralph Johnson Medical Center. We have many veterans locally. We're proud that hospital is named after Ralph Johnson, a Charleston private who gave up his life. He jumped on a grenade in Vietnam to save his comrades. And the hospital and the ship are named after him, which is uncommon for that to be so honored because he was a private, but he gave up his life helping others. In North Charleston, by Berkeley, the Live Oak Mental Health and Wellness is recently just opened up there in Ladson. And recently we had this, remembering those we've lost to overdose. Mount Pleasant does this over at Town Hall each year. Very powerful service. Wake Up Carolina started locally by Nancy Shipman. If you want to be trained, I'd strongly recommend that. She lost her son to an overdose of fentanyl. One pill can kill. And we're just trying to get to save lives by having everyone trained on Narcan. And you can save a life by learning this. It's also important for our seniors. My mother had a pill reminder box, and sometimes those pills can get mixed up. So we also recommend Narcan training for individuals. And I recently went over the weekend to the Clemson Appalachian State football game, and Emmitt Smith, the former Dallas Cowboys running back, was there, and he was recognized and indicates he's sort of like the national person for Narcan training. And here they'll give you a certificate for that. A little bit about the commitment process. There's different paperwork, and
Your mic is muted.
I do that? Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Thank
sir.
Yes.
Good. Anyway, we're blessed with mobile crisis, and they come to the location, and we'll take somebody to a hospital to be evaluated if they're a danger to others or to themselves. And it's a good resource. Here's sort of the due process that we have in an involuntary commitment process. We do appoint an attorney, guardian ad litem for the individual, for the patient. Attorney looks after their legal rights, guardian ad litem looks after their best interest. We have a court hearing, and many times it's done virtually. That's one of the beauties of coming out of the pandemic. We've learned how to do these little seminars here, and also we hold court hearings. It's much easier to do this and not have to transport our patients down to the courthouse. And we try to get them the best treatment in the least restrictive setting. It may be inpatient, maybe outpatient, maybe both. It may be no treatment. And when I go, we do trainings now, crisis intervention training for our police officers, and I go through those in more detail, what you need to be aware of. We've got a mental health court. Our numbers are down, and that's for good reason. Initially, only maybe a captain or supervisor were given training for the mentally ill, and now every officer gets a 40-hour training for crisis intervention. And so we've seen the number of arrests go down among our mentally ill. We're instead taking them to the hospital to get the care that they need. And here's some high-profile cases that have come through. Alice Bolin, we almost had a Sandy Hook, did a commitment on her. The parents there at Ashall went to the legislature and got the law changed. So if you have a civil commitment, the right to bear arms is taken away. You can restore that constitutional right, but you'll be in this National Institute criminal background check. I know we just had this shooting over in Georgia, and this is it's something we're all dealing with, trying to do the best we can. I ran into this down in Tulane University, and that's really just how we need to reach out to everyone, seize the awkward, and maybe reaching out and connecting with others will help them and help our society. So remember, there's a crisis suicide line number, assessment mobile crisis if you need that help for an individual. Our veterans, we're losing too many of them each day, and we have a veterans crisis line. And we also do court-assisted treatment. We're using the tools of drug court and mental health court and veterans court that I'll show you here in a few minutes. Anyway, to get people to be involved and get the help they need. Again, these are our problem-solving courts. Basically, this is when we hope people get treatment voluntarily. If not, we have the involuntary process. The third wave, if they get involved in the criminal justice system, then we have these problem-solving courts to treat their disease and to get them out of jail and prison and get them the help they need, give them a second chance. Started drug court. Judge Goldstein came. He was a Brooklyn cop turned lawyer turned judge, and he came up from Miami. They had a terrible crack cocaine problem at that time, and he helped us start our drug court. I went out to Seattle with Judge Casey to learn about their mental health court. They had a civil commitment patient after a Mariners baseball game, killed an off-duty fireman. And so they're using the tools of drug court and start a mental health court. Judge Russell, who's not a veteran who I met, started the first Veterans Treatment Court up in Buffalo. We do have a Marine veteran running our Veterans Treatment Court. We welcome you to see these. On Tuesdays is our Veterans Treatment Court at 4 p.m. On Wednesdays at 4 p.m. is our Adult Drug Court. And then Thursday at 10 a.m. is our Mental Health Court. And then our court-assisted treatment is generally Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have a commencement at the end of someone completing the program. Here, Chief Mullen, the former City of Charleston police chief, as presenting to Brian certificate for advancing and completing. You'll see on the left there, Brian's actually paying a check to Chief Mullen. When Brian was high and drunk, he broke into a home. He broke into Chief Mullen's home, not the one you generally would break into. Anyway, Chief Mullen was not home, so fortunately Brian is still alive, and Chief Mullen supported the program. And so Brian, is one of the requirements is to pay restitution back to your victim. Chief Mullen was the victim. If you look at the left picture on the far left, you'll see Judge Brucey Hendricks there. She's a federal court judge, came over and saw our program, and has now started a federal drug court program called the Bridge Program. And Judge Hendricks also runs our opioid task force, where we try to get together and let everybody know how people are doing in the different areas. They also have a way of tracking overdose and seeing where they're occurring, and give people on the street heads up if there's a bad batch of drugs out there. We talked earlier about the healthcare power of attorney and the business power of attorney. Again, we avoid the conservatorship by the business power of attorney and avoid guardianship by the healthcare. But I just want to touch a few topics here and just let you know that we're out there trying to eliminate people needing a guardianship or conservatorship by doing their planning. And we hope you'll do your planning by the use of a trust, a healthcare power of attorney, and a business power of attorney. And the court's role is always for limited guardianship. We believe in independence, and our laws believe in independence. Plenary would be a full. Those are rare. And again, conservator handles the finances, and they have to do certain things that generally are bonded over a certain amount, and they have to file an annual accounting with an attached bank statement. And so we also watch those. We also were selected one of the 2 courts in the country to pilot this adult guardianship assistance and monitoring program. We were selected along with Maricopa County, which is Phoenix, and we've started this and had this going for a number of years. We've got 40 students doing it this fall, and we go over to the Charleston School of Law and train those students on how to check on our seniors, to do a wellness check. And so they become the eyes and the ears of the court. Similarly, we were recognized by the National Center for State Courts to start 1 of 2 programs called this Rapid Response Conservatorship Project to check in real time the expenditures of conservators. And we were selected with Detroit. We have found that the safeguards we have in place will suffice. So we've got a bond, and annual accounting has worked. And then we have local advocates for seniors and vulnerable adults, and they're in different areas. Get the city, North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, and then the county that covers the unincorporated areas. Here's something to write down and to use. It's smart911.com. It's free for those in Charleston County. You can sign up. Every second counts. If you have to call 911, they'll have some background information on you that you will have supplied by signing up for smart911.com. If you've got a medical condition, if you've got next of kin, if you have pets, all that information can be put into this smart911.com. So if they come to help you, the EMS will have information before they even arrive. Again, we do these workshops. If you can't sleep at night, Jamie has been kind enough to record some of these. We don't provide the popcorn, but you can watch one of our state administration workshops. Might be the same bad jokes on them. Again, we're happy to do these free workshops. We found that people like the virtual ones. We do them in person, generally at our libraries in places where there's free parking. And the next one is Monday, October the 7th. You can come as many times as you want, and we're here to help you. Do I have questions? And here's some of the ski trips I took. My son's happy, doesn't realize I'm spending his inheritance, but and we've had fun. My wife there in the middle, Michelle, and we even went to the Olympic trials. If you haven't been out to Oregon, it's quite a thing to see. We went over to Ireland and gave them a portrait of James Hoban. We made it to the Irish Parliament building there, the Leinster House, and some other sites there. And then my father served in World War II. He was in the Army, and he was stationed down in Panama. And I always wanted to see where he was stationed, and quite a wealthy country. If you look at the top left, you'll see quite a skyline there. It's like $1.3 million, $1 million, $1.3 million for each ship to go through. Generates about $5 billion. It's I thought it was going to be a poor country, actually a very wealthy country. Questions? Must have some questions.
What would you say is the average amount of time from filing the informal appointment based on the will information and having all of the, documents necessary to submit it? What would you say is the average amount of time from filing the paperwork to receiving the actual certificate of appointment?
That should be, it should come right back to you if you filed. If you did it electronically, Jamie, if you want to jump in, it should have been sent right back to you once it was accepted by the court. You'd get the certificate of appointment and be able to go from there.
Yes, sir. The next business day, the clerk would be mailing the certificates of appointment to our clients. And should it be that you made an appointment and you came in, you'll receive it then and there upon your arrival and filing.
Thank you.
Okay. And you can call us afterwards if, and I can have Jamie check on it if that's helpful to you. Yeah. Jamie, if you want to put your number in the chat box, they can all see that.
I will. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And if you want to talk to me, my number is 843-817-2039. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Other questions, comments? I can run through a typical estate file. Y'all tell me what y'all would like. And again, this is a typical estate administration right here.
What would you say the difference is, or is there a need to file the formal certificate of appointment versus filing informally if there is a will naming the person?
If there's a will, you want to go informally, that cuts down, the expense of having to have notice and hearing each step of the way. If you can, and that's number 2 there, that normal administration. The estate clerk will help you open it. That's when you come in with or send the will. You select the creditors where you want to publish in the newspaper. You'll provide us with a death certificate and that application, which is that blue form. Yeah, I'll show you. You have death certificate. You'll have a will. Let's see if I can.
It's the form, the 300 ES. Is that the one you're
Correct.
referring to?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. My computer is now locked up again, but it would be that form 300. Yes, ma'am. And from there, you fill out that information. You'll see on there that you verify the information by signing that. And then whoever the personal representative used to be called executor, executrix would sign off too. But they would sign off too. And the judge, all that's done informally. That's the beauty of that informal process. Here's the application that I mentioned earlier. And this would be the blue form that you would complete. And you check over on the left-hand side, application. Application means it's informal, whereas on the right there, petition means it's for formal where you have notice in a hearing. You complete the background information. Here is where you list the heirs and devisees. And we list both Under 4A, we have all the devisees. Those are people named in the will. And 4B are those who would take if there was not a will. And so if you think of this logically, the ones that could challenge a will would be the ones who would take if the will was not valid. I mean, that rarely happens, but you have to give them notice. Nowadays, people die and we're spread across the state, spread across the country, across the world, and they may not know that somebody's related to them has passed. And so that's where you send that information to heirs and devisees. Right. And you go through and complete, so it's basically a form practice. And the sample forms that Jamie hopefully can send to you will sort of give you a guide. In my example here, I have dad dying, survived by 4 kids, 2 take under the will, 2 do not. And so you'll see, you'll go through here. We'll give you receipts. You get 2 receipts, 1 to open and then 1 to there's someone whose microphone's not working, but they wanted to ask, when the durable power of attorney should be filed in order to be effective. A business or durable power of attorney should be generally recorded once you execute it. It has to be recorded at the RMC office, Registered Deeds office, for it to be effective. Until it's recorded, then it's not effective. Some people will say, well, I'll wait until I'm incapacitated to file or record it. The issue there is if you have some problem in the execution of that power of attorney and you go to file it and they don't accept it, you can't go back because now you have an incapacitated adult. So that's generally why people file it right when they become incapacitated. There are other powers of attorney, such as a springing power of attorney. It springs into effect when you determine that I'm incapacitated. The issue there is defining that incapacity. Maybe it's based on what a doctor says. Does that help answer that question? Hopefully. Or if you've got a follow-up, let me know. And powers of attorney are unique. Sometimes you have a power of attorney just to close a real estate transaction. Somebody's going to be out of town when they have the home closing. So they do a limited power of attorney just to close the real estate. Right? And back to the probate administration, you'll see that you select a creditor's notice. That's a newspaper of general circulation in the county. And fiduciary bond if that's required. And it's calculated just on the personal property. That's one of the beauties of having a will. You don't have to post the fiduciary bond, which is an insurance policy that everything will be done right according to the PR. You'll see that the probate code has great flexibility. If you're named as a personal representative, you can renounce your right and nominate someone else. Okay? And you can waive the bond. Depends on your family situation. You'll get a certificate of appointment. This is what someone was asking for earlier. Jamie clarified that we generally mail those up the next business day. If you're in person, we give them right to you. Certificate of appointment, fiduciary letters shows that you're the person in charge of the estate. Again, it used to be called executor, executrix, now called personal representative, but you can use those words interchangeably. Again, 30 days after your appointment, you're to send out information to heirs and devisees, giving them notice that someone has died and estate's opened and that you're the personal representative. Here you'll see that the mom has sent it to the 4 kids. 90 days after your appointment, you file what's called an inventory and appraisement. You'll see on the right-hand column there, you just list the probate assets. The non-probate, the left-hand column, are optional. And then you'll go through, there'll be supporting schedules for each of these. I will point out that the one time the federal government is good to you is at death, they give you what's called a step up in basis. And let me try to explain that. If I bought a piece of property, say 30 years ago for $10,000 in Charleston, and now it's worth 100,000. If I sell it today for the 100,000, I deduct my cost basis, which is 10, and I have a $90,000 income to report. If it goes through my estate, if I die today and my wife sells it tomorrow for the 100, she would get a free step up in basis from the 10,000 to the fair market value at my date of death, which is 100,000. So she'd have no gain. So sometimes it's advantageous for property to go through an estate, and many times it's advantageous if real estate's in a ballpark to put it in the higher end of that ballpark. But work with your CPA and work with your lawyer in filling out the inventory and appraisement. Anyway, you'll see different supporting schedules for each area. I would point out at the end, encumbrances, all you have to list are those that are secured to the real estate or to boat or something else. You do not have to list the unsecured credit cards. And then you'll get a bill from the court. Again, the probate fee is just on the probate assets, does not include the non-probate assets. In South Carolina, relatively small, it's $95 on the first $100,000 of assets. So that's where you get into deciding whether I'm going to go through probate or if I'm going to do a trust, that type of thing. Got it. And you'll get a receipt. Here's an example of an affidavit of publication. Again, it runs once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. We handle it in-house, and then we file a copy once they return it. So it generally takes about a month to get that back because we have to send it over there. We batch them together, get a quantity discount, and then they have to run it once a week for 3 consecutive weeks and then mail it back to us. Here's a creditor's claim. Generally, they're pink forms. You don't have to use, you can use any color you like. There's actually a case that went up from Greenville where the lawyer argued that the claim was filed on a white sheet of paper, should have been on pink. Supreme Court said it doesn't matter. So we use different colors, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's an example of statement of creditor's claim. What the estate clerk, what we're looking for is that it's been handled, either paid, or you send a notice of disallowance and stating why. The creditor can petition for allowance, in which case we'd have a hearing, and then we'd issue an order. Deed of distribution, once someone has passed and there's real estate, generally you wait until the creditor's period expires. Make sure you don't need that real estate to pay off debts, but you end up filing a deed of distribution. You can give it to the court, and we file it over at the Register of Deeds office. And here's an example of it. And you need to consult your attorney. Our clerks cannot do this form. It's considered practicing law if they do it. And again, there's 3 ways to close a state under normal administration. You can file a verified statement if you're the sole heir, sole devotee. Of course, there's no one else to give notice to. You file that verified statement. If there are other heirs and devotees, you can file the standing closing documents that I'll show you in a second. Or all the heirs and devotees could agree and just waive the statutory filing requirements. Many times that happens. They trust mom or dad that they've done everything they're supposed to. So here's the verified statement example. Here's some of the closing documents normal. Here's an accounting. You begin with what you started with and show what your plans are. The detail is on the back of the form here. Anyway, the closing documents, my computer likes to lock up after about 10 slides, I think. I gotta go backwards to go forwards. Nope, it doesn't want to go. Here we go. This proposal for distribution. Here's a receipt. You always want, if you give something, have them at least sign a receipt, what they received. If they can sign a receipt with release and waiver. Many people are leery of signing a waiver because they're giving up all their rights. If they're only receiving, say, a brick or a sum of money, they generally will sign the waiver part. Just depends on what they're receiving. Forward again. It's locking up again. Anyway, the next one that I would show you would be a notice of right to demand a hearing. And I don't want to go forward anymore. We've done 175 slides out of 181. There we go. And if you want to waive the closing documents, we talked about that earlier. Here's a waiver. So again, there are three ways. The verified statement for sole heir, sole devisee, the closing documents, or the waiver of the documents. My computer must want to go to lunch. I can't figure it out. Here we go. And then we would give you, you'd also file an application for settlement saying that I'm closing it either way. And, and then you send a proof of delivery. Here you'll see at the end, in the example I had, 2 kids were takers. There were 4 kids, but only 2 took under the will. Mom only has to give notice to the takers at the end. And we'll get an order closing the estate. And that's sort of the end there. Remember to do your estate planning and ski. Remember, in closing the estate, once you close it, you can reopen it. Say later you find some stock certificates or other assets. I'd also advise you check the state treasurer's unclaimed assets. Jamie, I just ran across that, so maybe if we can add a slide for that too, just to remind people to check the unclaimed assets. You must have some questions. We also have a tracking system, so if you get behind in filing something, you'll receive a couple of letters from us. Please respond to those letters. If not, we may have to have a rule to show cause hearing. We generally do not want that. We're here to help you. And I know it's difficult. I know I did my dad's estate when I was in law school with the help of an attorney, and emotionally it can be very difficult. So we are here to help you. And an attorney and CPA can also help you. Right? Questions, comments, anything?
Sure.
And we'll get that. Is there a checklist for documents specific to sole heir situation? Yes. We do have that. And if you ask your estate clerk, and I'll get Jamie to send that to you.
Yes, I will email that to you.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. I know you're trying to watch another meeting for us also. She's covering 2 meetings at once.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Okay. Jamie knows me. She's been with me for 31 years, so she keeps me straight. Other questions, comments?
Judge, there's another question for you, sir, on the chat.
Okay. Stop paying the, you want to, as far as any bills, you want to, if a claim is filed against the estate, you're the personal representative, you've got to handle it. You generally want to wait until the creditor's period expires to see how many claims you have filed and to make sure you have enough assets to pay all the claims. If you know it's a smaller claim and you got plenty of assets, yeah, you can go ahead and pay it. But just remember, if you pay a claim that shouldn't be paid, you can be personally responsible. You are not responsible for the decedent's debts. They can only come after the assets in the estate. But if you have claims that are filed, wait till the end of the creditor's period to expire end, and then see how you can pay those claims. If they are on the same priority, then you don't have enough assets, you may have to pay people proportionally. But I would check with your lawyer and with legal help before you pay any of the claims. Does that help? I hope so. Good, okay. Any other questions, comments? Trying to think. Jamie, what did I miss? I know you can tell me. Help me
Oh,
there.
yes, sir. You covered everything, but did you want to share when the young man came to visit you, sir, at the court one day?
Oh, I can do that one on that one. Man was coming in and you go through the security. He's in our drug court, went through security, took out his keys, emptied his pockets. Lo and behold, he put out drugs right there in front of the screen with all the deputies. They took him into custody, brought him up to me. Guess what his defense was? Can anybody guess? He said they
was
were not
drugs.
his. What were not his? What do you think? He said the pants were not his. He had borrowed the pants. Anyway, we gave him an A+ for creativity, but we got him some more help. Other questions, concerns, anything I can help you with? If you get off this call and a day or two have a question, you got my direct dial number, my cell, my email. We're here to help you. If it's a contested case, I'll have to have you talk to your attorney. I can't help you in that regard. Okay. Other questions, comments? If not, have a wonderful day. I know we're coming up on 9/11, and I think of that day. I know I was at the courthouse, and I got a call to turn on the TV. We had one old TV, and we pulled that out and saw one plane going to the tower, then another, and didn't know what was happening that day. And we ended up about an hour later shutting everything down and going home and watching the TV. It was quite a day. Okay, everybody take care, and thank you for joining us today, and check our schedule. We'll have others. And we
Thank
will
you.
see you in person.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure, have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.